morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister Anura Priyadarshan Yapa, Minister of Environment, Dr. Saman Keligama, the head of the IPS, Excellencies, ambassadors from France, Japan, Switzerland, members of the diplomatic corps, dear colleagues, friends, members from the media. Honorable Minister, sincere thanks for joining this event today. Your presence signifies that the importance you personally and your government and people of Sri Lanka attach to the issue of developing the country in an environment-friendly manner, but with due and adequate attention to the issues of equity across the country, across the ethnic lines, across the gender lines, across religion, and so on. Mr. Minister, many of the United Nations agencies here, we take pride in being partners of tremendous work that your ministry and your colleagues in other ministries have undertaken in this direction to develop sustainably and with equity. We have done some works, and we are very proud of that, under your personal leadership, the strategic environment assessment, and we understand that the government wants this to be replicated for other areas. And this is so important because a small island nation, you possess, and you in fact, you endowed with such diverse heritage that it's important that we become partner in this process. Ladies and gentlemen, on the 15th of November, many of us here attended the National Plantation Ceremony, and His Excellency the President was there, the members of the cabinet, and all important people, but also a lot of young people were there. And I felt that personally it was an important event and relatively new in your country, an important event to convey the messages at very high level and at all levels also, that this is important for Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka really remains committed to the issues of environmental sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, we all here guide our work and steer our work within the framework of Millennium Development Goal and MDG 7 on environmental sustainability, probably is most at risk of not being met in many countries, including in Sri Lanka, and particularly due to the deforestation that is underway. We thank all the panelists and participants for joining, because the report was launched early this month in Denmark. The global launch was in Denmark with the Prime Minister of Denmark and United Nations Development Programs Administrator Helen Clark. They jointly launched it. But we do organize national launches because we want to highlight how the nation fares in this, if I may put it that way, in this global scorecard that brings elements of social, economical, and environmental agenda together. And that's in our lingo called Human Development Index. And as you know, United Nations Development Program, with the support not only of UNDP expertise, but also building on the system-wide experience and expertise, this report has been coming out for 21 years now. Ladies and gentlemen, Sri Lanka is at crossroads. The need for different stakeholders to unite for Sri Lanka's future is important, and it is not only in terms of restoring, rehabilitating, restoring peace, achieving reconciliation in one part of the country, but it is much larger. And in this endeavor, we believe that concerted effort of government, academia, civil society is important. And today's panel here is a small example of bringing different expertise and different perspectives, different viewpoints into this discussion. Just very quickly touching on the subject of this year's Human Development Report, sustainability and equity. As I mentioned, it was launched beginning of this month on the 2nd of November in Copenhagen. And in this launch event, Helen Clark, United Nations Development Program Administrator, but also Helen Clark is the chairperson of the United Nations Development Group, basically bringing together all the United Nations agency active and working in the area of development cooperation. And I quote, "The international community must find pathways to development which maintain ecosystem balance and reduce inequalities within and between nations." We are very pleased when we read the document, and I think this will come out in today's discussion. Sri Lanka has something to be very proud of. Sri Lanka ranks highest in terms of HDR in South Asia. But the inequality in Sri Lanka also is among the highest. Dual challenges faced by Sri Lanka, and it is important, and hopefully today's discourse and subsequent discussions that we'll be having on this report will show us and lead to some thoughts as to how to mitigate environmental risks of the future, the issues of intergenerational in nature, while ensuring that today's poor are not adversely affected, addressing what we call the issues of intragenerational. Sri Lanka, as I mentioned, it's a pleasure for us to note that is at the upper end of the medium human development group. Sri Lanka ranks 97. And it will not be affected as severely as low HDI countries, but natural resource base and the island topography leaves it vulnerable. And ladies and gentlemen, this report, 2011 Human Development Report, also is significant in the global context because it has come out just a couple of months ahead of Durban and some months ahead of Rio +20. UNFCCC Climate Change Conference in Durban, and I'm sure that preparations almost are complete, will be held later this month, 29th of November and 9 December. And we hope the discussion which the international community had concluded to be done in Copenhagen and beyond will be moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we do think that the June 2012 Rio +20 summit will also be a tremendous opportunity for world community to put sustainability and equity concerns at the heart of the post-2015 or post-MDG international development agenda. We are very pleased to report here that the United Nations system is working with the Ministry of Environment to prepare what will be the position that Sri Lanka takes in the Rio +20. Ladies and gentlemen, in today's program, you will have a detailed presentation on the key contents and key messages of the Global Human Development Report 2011. Mr. Douglas Kay, UNDP Country Director, will make the presentation. Our four eminent panelists will give their perspectives, give their views, and analyze the global framework in the context of Sri Lanka and what are the things that we can do it here. We, in the United Nations system, would like to avail future opportunities to disseminate the main elements and key findings and key messages of the report, and we will be counting on many of you to help us with that. Before I pass on the floor to Mr. Douglas Kay. It's my tremendous pleasure on behalf of the UNDP's Human Development Report Office to present a copy of this report to Honorable Minister.